Welcome to Inking on the Fly with me, Amy Jasper. Today I am sharing with you a kind of a layering heat embossing technique, and I'm not sure, I don't honestly know if I've seen this elsewhere or not, but it is a little bit, or can be a little bit labor intensive, so not everybody might be into this kind of a technique, but it's kind of cool too. So it's one of those that you might use for something a little more a little more special, a little special card or project that you want to do. For this, I'm going to use the Biggest Wish photopolymer stamp set from Stampin' Up. So it has all these awesome birthday, hello, thanks, kind of multiple happy wishes kind of things. So I'm going to use that, and we're going to use a whole bunch of ink colors because we're going to start with a technique that may be familiar to you, which is called the Joseph's Coat technique, I believe. So to do this, I am going to do some sponging first on my little wee piece of paper. I chose a small piece because I'm just showing you the technique. I'm not going to make a full-on card. So I have with me all of my colors that I'm using. So I have, and I don't know if all of these will show, but we're going to go with it. So I have, let me just put them in the right order. I have Daffodil, no I don't. I have Mango Melody, Granny Apple Green, Coastal Cabana, Gorgeous Grape, and Polished Pink. So those are the colors I'm using. And I'm using all my blending brushes. So I'm starting on one end with yellow with the mango. Well, you don't have to have these all on display, do you? Let's move them out of the way. I'm starting with Mango Melody on one end, and then I'm going to do the rainbow of colors all the way to the other end. And then we will proceed with the next stage. I love Mango Melody. It's sort of it's become my orange, or sorry, my yellow, even though it is more of an orange color. So I won't, when I'm done my Joseph's Coat technique, you're not really going to see all of the colors, but I want to make sure that I start with them all because then I have the better, the option of actually showing them all or showing most of them, if that is making any sense whatsoever. So I'm using the blending brushes. I want to make these kind of narrow strips because I want to try to pull in all of the colors, like I said, into my image. So it's hard to do narrow strips when you're using the blending brushes. I'll try to use more of the tip kind of edge of my brush. But yeah, it is a bit challenging because they are large. So this might work better with the sponge daubers. But I do find that the blending brushes just they just blend so nicely that I'm going to make it work. So this is Granny Apple Green. I'm just going to go back in with my mango to blend that out a little bit. Then I will go in with my next color, which is Coastal Cabana. Love this color. Actually, these first three colors are probably some of my favorite colors. The Mango Melody I don't use a lot as the paper, but I really like the ink. The paper's a bit too bright for me, but it has its place. So just blending my colors. I feel like I'm actually making these too narrow because when I'm looking at it, I only have 2 more colors to do, and look at all that space. So I can be a little wilder here, I think. This does use a fair bit of ink, so I think I'll have to re-ink my ink pads after this, particularly, as you know, I'm doing the Joseph's Coat technique to start with, so particularly that my Tuxedo Momento Black is going to need some re-inking because it's going to use a lot of ink. So now I'm going in with Gorgeous Grape, and I'm being impatient. And putting down the color very hurriedly. This grape is so pretty on here. Okay, I'm going to go back with my Coastal Cabana just to soften that edge. It doesn't matter. I have to keep reminding myself. I'm going to cover all this up, well, most of this up, with my techniques, so I don't have to be too fussy, but I do want to saturate it nicely and have it blend as best as I can with what I'm doing. I'm using such a small piece of paper. I feel like that was probably a mistake. So then my last color is Polished Pink, but I think I might finish with the yellow, although again, I don't know that it's going to show, so probably doesn't matter too much. And by yellow, of course, I mean mango, mango medley. Oh, look at those colors. So pretty. All right, let's finish with the mango. Even though that edge probably won't show. That's okay. It makes me feel like I've completed my rainbow. And that's important. All right, so now I have this lovely rainbow of colors. Looks pretty good. My purple blending needs a bit of work here. And some of my paper looks like it didn't pick up. I don't know if you can see, I've got little speckles of white. That's okay though. I'll fix that later. Okay. Pretty good. I've got my little rainbow of colors. Then we go in with, I need to use my heat tool and heat set all those colors so that they're dry, fully dry. So my pink kind of disappeared in there, but I think that'll work. It'll still look really cool. Okay, so that is fully dry. Now, it's very hot still, but I'm gonna go in with my embossing buddy, and I know Stampin' Up! Doesn't sell the embossing buddy anymore, which makes me very sad because it is an essential tool, in my opinion, for techniques like this with embossing. So the embossing buddy is filled with some sort of white powder. Many people figure it's talcum powder or cornstarch or something like that. And it just helps to get rid of any static or any areas that embossing powder might stick to that you don't want, where you don't want it to stick. Mine's getting pretty skinny, so hopefully Stampin' Up! Comes out with a new one. Okay, and I'm going to stamp the birthday, the large, bold birthday sentiment on here. And I could use my Stamparatus and stamp this more than once to get a good coverage, but I'm not too fussed about that right now. So we're going to hope for the best, and I found it was stamping quite nicely, so I am confident that it will again. So we'll stamp right dead. Oh, do I want it dead center? I'm trying to think of where I want the happy that's going to go over top afterwards. Maybe I'll put it slightly to one side. I don't know, you guys. I haven't thought this through. Let's go here. We'll just go for it. It looks like it might even be crooked, and that's okay too. So that's Versamark ink. And if you're familiar with the Joseph coat technique, the next stage is to take some clear embossing powder. And I have some in my handy dandy Tupperware container. So this is clear embossing. So that's going to go all over that birthday. Tap off my excess, and you see it didn't attach to anywhere that I didn't want to. Oh, a little bit down here. Because of that embossing buddy and the heating, the heat setting the ink helped a lot too. And it is a bit crooked, that's okay. So then I can heat that. Just to the gloss. Even that's just cool, right? Isn't it fun to watch it change? It never gets old, seriously. Okay, so that's been heat set. So I want that to cool a bit. And then I'm going to go in with my Momento Black ink. Now this ink, it's very important to use a water-based ink for this. You don't want a high pigment ink. You want water-based, not, I don't know, oil-based or solvent-based. You don't want that. You want water-based. And I'm going to go in with my brush, one of my brushes again, and pick up my ink and go, this is cool and dry, so then I can go over it. And basically it will go everywhere except where my embossing powder is. So it's an embossed resist kind of thing. So you can see it's darkening the background color, but keeping the color over top of where the embossed area is. But it's taking a long time, so I'm going to speed it up and just do direct ink. This is a kind of like a linen material, so I can be a little rougher and just do direct ink to paper, and you can see how much faster that is. And this really saturates the paper too, so and then I can finish it off by blending it in. And my fingers are getting pretty inky. I'll just hold this down with a scrap piece of paper because I already have lots of ink on my fingers. And then I can fill in those areas that didn't get the black ink. Very inky. Oops. So this is using the Joseph's coat technique, coat of many colors, as my starting point, and then I'll show you the layering method that I'm going to do. Okay, so that is full on saturated with the Momento Black ink. So you can see the clear embossing powder has resisted the ink. Super cool. But I can polish that off even more with, hi Cindy. I can polish off that surface just a little more with just with a paper towel to really get, because there's ink on that embossing powder as well. So we just want to polish that off. And that's cool on its own, right? That's the basic Joseph's coat technique. But we're going to take that kind of a step further, and with a little more fussing and intensity and getting right in there and being a little fancy. And we're going to heat set what we've already done, and we're going to actually remove all of that shine. And this takes a little bit of time, so I'm starting with such a nice small, relatively small surface, so that there won't be like a ton that needs to be removed. So we're going to heat it until it's shiny, and then wipe. And this takes time. Okay, so then we can look. You can see there's just that ever so slight sheen to it, but we've lost most of the shine. If I heat this, and my sheen when I heat it isn't getting more shiny, then I know I've gotten enough off. There's a little bit of shine up here. I'll try to get. Whew, a bit noisy, sorry about that. Okay, and there's a little bit of shine down here that I'm going to grab. I think I got it all. You can see that I had to work pretty quickly between, like I didn't even turn my heat tool off. So now we end up with there is no heat embossed areas. There's no raised areas. It has sort of a just ever so slight waxy feel, and you can sort of see a general very light sheen over the surface, but it's not embossed. Okay, so that's, and it brightens up the color. I don't know if you can, I should have had maybe one before and one after so you could see, but the color is more vibrant because when you have clear embossing powder over top of a color, it makes the color darker. So now we have the colors more vibrant again. Okay, so now this is where the layering comes in. So I have removed all of that, all of the raised embossed portion of my sentiment. This has been heated and it's in the process of cooling. And then I can take my embossing buddy and go over this again. And if you don't have an embossing buddy, some people have used like a dryer sheet. Sometimes that can help. Or some people will try like a little baby sock or something that has cornstarch in it. But I haven't tried that because my embossing buddy is still working. I don't know why Stampin' Up got rid of it. They need to bring it back. Okay, so then I can do my layering. My grid paper is all warped from heating. Let's fix that. Okay, so then I can go in with the happy sentiment. Hi, Eunice. So Eunice, just to catch you up, all I've done so far is I did the Joseph's coat technique, and then I heat the embossing powder and wiped it off. So that's how I've ended up with this. And you're not too late. I kind of started late. So then we're going to layer another layer of embossing over top using the sentiment that is happy. So we'll go in with Versamark again. And I've stamped this over this way so that I'm thinking I'm going to put this over here. I don't really know where I want it, but maybe it'll go here. Let's go there. I haven't really thought this far through. I should really look at what other people have done with this set. I haven't looked too much. Should I go up here? Maybe I should go up there. I see people going through, and that's kind of fun. I think I'm going to go above. And I'll just, for good measure, put more ink on, because that's the way I roll. Okay, let's go above and see what we can do here. I'll just have it layering slightly above. Like that. Hi, Judy. Yes, this is quite the involved technique, but it has a really cool effect. And it's actually kind of, I guess, two techniques together. So I'm going to go in with white embossing powder now. And hope that my embossing buddy did its job. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Not as well as I'd like, but it's pretty good. So then I can get rid of some of the excess. You can see there's a bit of excess powder on there. Usually I can kind of tap it off, but it doesn't want to come off. So I can, maybe my paper was still warm, too warm. So then I can just go in and sweep off some of that. Some of it doesn't want to come off, but I have a trick for that as well. I love using the white embossing powder. It is my favorite because you can put your sentiments on dark backgrounds, right? Which is awesome. So I don't like that up there, but that's okay. I'll figure out a way to make that work. So now I can see, and my tea is covered. I don't know if I like the top of my tea covered. Anyways, this is showing you the technique. It's not, it hasn't been thought through much further than that. Okay, so then I can heat that. And then you have your layered embossing. So in order to kind of get rid of or hide those spots there, I can go in with my black blends marker and just tap on those white spots, and that will hide them quite nicely. And because the marker is what do you call it, alcohol based, it will actually keep that area, those areas black, not like the Momento ink, which is what do you call it, water based, which would wipe off. So yeah, so it's crooked. I'll fix that later, but you get the idea. So we have the happy is heat embossed. The birthday was heat embossed, but we wiped it off so that we could get a nice crisp image stamped over top. Now, if you do not do that, let me see if I have one that I didn't. So here's one that I tried earlier, and I did not wipe off the embossing powder on the happy. And do you see how smudgy my birthday is? It didn't, the embossing powder wanted to blend with the already heat embossed area underneath it. So by wiping that off, I was able to get my happy on there nice and crisp. And again, I don't love my placement of the happy. It doesn't make me very happy, but it shows you the technique nicely. Let me show you a bigger one that I did. So this is the one I'm going to put on a card, which I haven't quite got to that point yet. But I did 3 happies, so the color underneath really shows really nicely. I used my Stamparatus to get the placement exactly right. There's no way I could have stamped those that straight otherwise. And then I heated the embossed areas and wiped off the embossing powder thoroughly. It took a little bit longer because that's a larger area of coverage that I had to remove. And then I stamped that birthday, and look how amazing. Like, there's no bleeding of the embossing powder into the happies from the birthday. And I'm really happy with that look. So again, it takes a bit of, it's one of those things that's really, in my opinion, it's worth it, but it is one of those things that you wouldn't make a whole bunch of cards using this technique. It's kind of one of those fancy things that you would use for a card for someone special. And we have a lot of special people in our lives, don't we? So there you go. That's my technique. I don't have a card for you today. I just wanted to share this technique with you. And I will, of course, make them into a card and show you that on another day. So I hope you guys have a great week, and thanks for stopping in and saying hello. And I hope I'll see you next week for my Facebook Live. And I'm pretty sure next week will be Paper Pumpkin. Woohoo! Oh, and another note, make sure if you are interested in joining in on the Stamp Camp event that Desiree and I are doing in July, you have until the end of June to register for that. So make sure you do. And yeah, you'll find the link to that on my Facebook page. So thanks for watching. Have a great week. We'll catch you next time.